The peeping stranger. Have you ever felt like you were being watched? Like someone was out there in the dark, their eyes locked on you, waiting for the perfect moment to strike? This happened when I was 23. I was a single woman living alone in a small one-bedroom apartment on the ground floor of a quiet building. It was a Friday night, and I decided to stay in, order some takeout, and binge a new series on Netflix. The weather outside was chilly, with a gentle rain tapping against the windows, adding to the cozy atmosphere. I remember feeling a sense of peace and contentment, wrapped in a soft blanket on my bed. The dim lighting in the room created a warm, inviting glow, making it the perfect setting for a quiet night in. Little did I know this night would be one to remember. Around midnight, I noticed my cat staring intently at the sliding glass door. His eyes were wide and fixed on something outside, and his tail was twitching nervously. I tried to brush it off as nothing, but a chill ran down my spine. The night was eerily quiet, and the darkness outside seemed to press against the glass. I tried to shake off the uneasy feeling, but it lingered. I decided to lock the door and draw the curtain, hoping to block out whatever was causing my cat's distress. I forced myself to relax, but the image of my cat's anxious gaze stayed with me, making it hard to shake off the sense of impending dread. Maybe 20 minutes later I heard it, a soft scraping sound coming from the patio, like metal dragging against glass. I muted the TV and listened intently. The sound stopped abruptly. I told myself it was just the wind, trying to calm my nerves, but something deep inside me, a gut feeling, told me to look. I hesitated for a moment, my heart pounding, before finally deciding to get up and check. What could it be? When I pulled back the curtain, my heart nearly stopped. There he was, a man crouched right outside, his face inches from the glass, his breath fogging up the glass as he exhaled, and in his hand a knife. I stumbled backward, nearly tripping over the coffee table in the dimly lit room. My phone was in the bedroom. I cursed myself for foolishly leaving it behind. I ran to the bedroom and locked the door behind me. The tapping continued, that soft, insistent clinking of metal against glass. I called 911, my hands shaking so badly I could barely press the buttons. The police arrived within minutes, but when they checked the patio, the man was gone. All they found were muddy footprints and a greasy handprint smeared across the glass door. The officer told me to stay somewhere else for the night just in case something happened. So I packed a bag and stayed with a close friend. The next morning when I returned, I noticed something chilling. In the dirt outside the patio, there were several cigarette butts and a half-eaten sandwich. The man had been posted up and watching me for hours. Just waiting. Watching. And I never even knew. Please don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell for spine-chilling horror content, and to watch more scary videos. Sleep tight if you can. Please share with family and friends. The anonymous caller. Have you ever been alone in your own home and felt like someone was watching you? Imagine that feeling. But this time, the watcher is closer than you think. This happened when I was 16. My parents had gone out of town for the weekend, leaving me alone for the first time. They figured I could handle it. I was a guy after all. It was a Saturday night, and I invited my friend Mike over to hang out. We ordered a pizza, played some video games, and by midnight he headed home. The house felt eerily quiet after Mike left. The silence was heavy. I sat on the couch, scrolling through my phone when the landline rang. It startled me. We barely ever used the house phone. I picked it up, expecting a wrong number, but instead, all I heard was heavy breathing. I said, "Hello?" Then, a man's voice, low and scratchy, said, "Do you like being alone?" I froze. My first thought was that it was Mike messing with me. I forced a laugh and told him to screw off. But the feeling of being watched crept up my spine. I hung up. 5 minutes later, the phone rang again. This time the voice said, "I can see you." I got up and walked to the window, peering outside. The street was empty. The houses were dark. Nothing. But the chill running down my spine wouldn't go away. I hung up once more. The phone rang again. I let it go to voicemail. But when the message played, it was the same voice. "You shouldn't have looked outside. You shouldn't keep hanging up." My stomach dropped. How could he know I looked outside? I grabbed a kitchen knife and started checking every window, every door, making sure they were locked. Once again I hung up. Then I heard the voice again. This time, the voice was right outside the freaking window. "I can see you, and I like your knife." I bolted to my parents' room, locking the door and dialing 911. The operator assured me the police were on the way. Minutes felt like hours as I waited, gripping the knife, staring at the window. The police arrived quickly. They searched the house and the yard but found nothing. Then one of the officers called me over to the living room window. There, in the mud, were fresh footprints, leading right up to the window. The window I had looked out of. They said to call back if I needed. The phone rang again. I couldn't answer. I didn't answer. Please don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell for spine-chilling horror content, and to watch more scary videos. Sleep tight if you can. Please share with family and friends. The Garage, a terrifying true story. Have you ever felt the unsettling sensation that someone is watching you, even when you're certain you're alone? I was 19, living with my parents in a quiet suburban neighborhood. It was a place where nothing much ever happened, and the days seemed to blend into one another. One evening, my parents decided to go out to dinner, leaving me alone in the house for a few hours. The sun was setting, casting a warm golden glow over the empty streets. I decided to take a shower, hoping to relax and enjoy the solitude. As I stepped into the bathroom, I turned on the water, letting it run until it was just the right temperature. I put on some music, letting the melodies fill the room and drown out the silence of the house. The warm water cascaded over me, washing away the day's worries. It was a rare moment of peace and tranquility, a brief escape from the monotony of suburban life. I wrapped myself in a towel, feeling the warmth of the steam still clinging to my skin, and opened the bathroom door. The house was quiet, almost too quiet, and that's when I heard it, a soft, almost eerie creaking sound coming from the garage. Our garage door was old and heavy. It made a distinct noise whenever it opened or closed, a sound that was unmistakable. I paused for a moment, my heart beginning to race. Was someone in the garage? The thought sent a shiver down my spine. I tiptoed down the hallway, each step making the wooden floorboards creak under my weight. The closer I got, the louder the creaking became. I reached the door leading to the garage and hesitated, my hand hovering over the doorknob. The creaking stopped. Then I heard footsteps, slow, deliberate, heavy footsteps. They were coming from the garage. I rushed back to the bathroom, locking the door behind me with trembling hands. My heart was pounding so loud I thought whoever was in the house could hear it echoing through the walls. I could barely catch my breath as I fumbled for my phone. My fingers were shaking so much that I almost dropped it. I called my parents, whispering into the phone that someone was in the house. My voice was barely audible, but the fear was unmistakable. My mom's voice was calm but urgent, as she told me to hang up and call 911 immediately. I did as she said, my hands still shaking. The operator's voice was a lifeline, guiding me through what to do next. I tried to stay as quiet as possible, listening for any sounds outside the bathroom door. Every creak and groan of the house made my heart race even faster. I prayed that help would arrive soon, feeling trapped and terrified in that small locked room. Then the doorknob started to turn slowly. I held my breath, praying they would go away. The knob stopped turning and the footsteps retreated. I waited in silence until I heard the distant sound of sirens. The police arrived and searched the house. They found the garage side door slightly ajar, but no sign of forced entry. Nothing was stolen. Whoever it was, they came for me. We never found out who it was. We must have accidentally left the garage side door unlocked. But every time I hear a creak or a footstep in the night, I'm reminded of that terrifying evening. Please don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell for spine-chilling horror content, and to watch more scary videos. Sleep tight if you can. Please share with family and friends.